This video is on how to confirm and fix an epoxy leak. This part right here is what we refer to as our epoxy. It's in a vacuum feed through, and on occasion we have had some small vacuum leaks. So today we'll show you how to determine whether or not it's leaking, and if it is leaking, on how to fix it. One of the first steps we need to do is make sure our pump has fresh oil in it and it's working well, so that we can pull this to a bottom out vacuum. The next step is to remove your panels. If you need help doing that, refer to our How to Remove Your Panels video. After having removed your panels, now reconnect your vacuum hose to the vacuum port. So now we need to get our vacuum pump on and pull the machine as low as it will go. The first step is we need to remove the shelf and make sure the chamber is completely dry. This will help speed up the process in achieving our bottom out vacuum. After having made sure your chamber is completely dried and wiped out with a paper towel, replace your door gasket, seal your door, and close your drain valve. Now that we have our panels removed and our hose reconnected and the oil changed in our pump, we need to get to the factory setup screen on the Harvest Right freeze dryer display. First, you push the Customize button, then you push the Adjust Cycle Times button, then in the upper left-hand corner is an invisible button, followed by a touch just below it, the Enable Slow Update button. The screen's changed to current job pressure setting. Now we'll push again in the lower left-hand corner, and again, until the display says Factory Setup. So now we'll turn our pump on. And as the pump continues to run, you'll notice that the pressure starts to drop on the mTOR reading. Eventually we'll wind up somewhere about a 3-digit number. And when it stabilizes and quits dropping, then we'll be ready to test for a leak. So now our pump has been running and we've bottomed out. We're pretty stable at this pressure here, not getting any lower. That tells us we have a vacuum leak somewhere. Now we utilize a carburetor cleaner that can be bought at Walmart for $1.99, but any cleaner will work. What we're going to do is give this a small shot on the epoxy, and this should cause an immediate pressure rise if in fact there is a leak here. As you can see, our pressure is starting to rise, which confirms we have a leak at the epoxy. At this point, we're going to let it rise until all the chemical evaporates, and then the pressure will fall back down again to its bottom out position. While we're waiting for our pump to pull the machine back down to bottom out, we will prepare our fitting for the epoxy repair. What we need to do is roll back the foam insulation around the epoxy and take about a 1-inch masking tape and wrap it around the outer epoxy fitting. This will create a cup, so when we put the epoxy in, it'll hold it in place. So items necessary to complete this repair will be a roll of masking tape or any kind of tape, a paper plate, a couple plastic utensils, and Harvest Right will mail you a 2-part epoxy that will come in packages much like this. So now we've put our epoxy onto the paper plate, and we just need to stir it until it becomes a uniform black color all the way through. You have about 20 minutes to apply this before it starts to harden up. It will take about 24 hours to solidly cure, but should make an immediate effect on the epoxy repair. Now that we've stirred our epoxy, I'll use a plastic spoon to pour it into the tape cup. And I'll use the knife to stir it around to the upper edge. You should start to see at this point in time a pressure drop as the epoxy is sucked into the leak and the repair is starting to be made. As you can see, our pressure is dropping, which is an indication that our fix is working. We'll continue to let it cool down until it bottoms out. Most machines will reach below 200, at which time we will shut the pump off and let the machine sit for a 24-hour period. We've now bottomed out at 178 millitorr, a successful epoxy patch. At this time, we'll shut the machine down. We're going to leave it under vacuum. Do not open the drain valve, do not open the door. We're just going to leave it under vacuum for 8 hours and give the epoxy a chance to cure. If you have any further questions, call tech support and we'll be happy to walk you through it. Thank you.